Hi all, welcome to my GCP Data Engineering channel. Okay. So in our earlier video, we have seen how to create Cloud Dataproc cluster using Google Cloud Console, and we have explored many options, right? So while creating cluster, how to select different compute options and storage options, how to access Dataproc cluster using web interface, and we have tried to run few Hive jobs, right? And also we have run PySpark jobs, right? So we have connected masternode compute engine, and we have tried to submit PySpark jobs, and we have tried to run PySpark command using interactive PySpark shell, right? So as part of this video, so we will try to create Dataproc cluster using CLI commands, right? And also we'll try to submit PySpark jobs to GCP console. Okay, so usually as part of this video I would like to also demo, right, how to separate compute from storage, right? So far we have used HDFS, right, as our storage area or storage service, right? So now I would like to demo, right, how we can use Google Cloud Storage, right, to store our data, to stage our code, right, instead of HDFS. Okay, so instead of masternode file system. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, here, right, so as part of this demo, what I'll do, I'll use command line interface to create Dataproc cluster, right? Then once that cluster is created, right, what I'll do, right, so I will demonstrate basically how I am going to store my source data or input data into a GCS bucket, and also code into a GCS bucket. So that usually the code consists of PySpark job, where I'm trying to read data from GCS bucket input data, and then I'll try to apply series of transformations like cleaning, grouping, aggregating, right? Then I'll try to write the data into a BigQuery, right? So here uh, we need to understand few things before going to the demo. Okay, first of all, we are trying to interact with multiple services. Once we create our cluster, right, our cluster gonna interact with multiple uh, GCP services like Google Cloud Storage and BigQuery. So one is storage service, that is GCS, another one is data warehouse, BigQuery. So usually uh, now if Dataproc cluster has to read data from GCS bucket and will be performing some PySpark related transformation, and then we'll try to write data into BigQuery. For that, it needs to have some kind of a service account, right? So usually as part of this demo, I don't want to show how to use a separate service account created for it, and we can use that service account with the Dataproc cluster. Instead, what I'll do is, right, so I'll try to use default compute engine service account. Okay, so that our Dataproc cluster gonna use that default compute engine service account to read data from the GCS bucket and also write data into BigQuery, right? So we will also check whether we have the default compute engine service account already available in our GCP project. If it is not there, we have to create one, and then we'll have to grant necessary IAM roles to that service account. If it is already there, usually it needs to have a project editor role to perform all such tasks. Okay, we will check that as well, right? So that is one important check we should do before going to the any kind of, right, pipeline development or application development, right, or any demo. Okay, so this is what I am trying to do as part of this demo. Okay, the use case is this, where I have already placed some input data into a GCS bucket. Okay, and also I place my code. So code is a PySpark job, it's a Python script, where it is reading data from the GCS bucket, same GCS bucket, and it is performing series of transformation like cleaning the data and also grouping, aggregating, and finally it is writing the data into a BigQuery, right? So usually with a Dataproc, whenever you create a plain Dataproc cluster, you won't be having any BigQuery connector available, right? We have to explicitly install BigQuery connector on Dataproc cluster nodes. This is very important step to be noted, right? By default, this connector is not available. That is where I've told you that whenever we were creating Dataproc cluster in our first video or second video of Dataproc, so there is an option to basically execute some initialization script on Dataproc cluster nodes, right? There is an option, right? Even using our CLI commands, we can provide that, basically that initialization script where we will try to install BigQuery connector onto the Dataproc cluster. Okay, these are the few very important steps to be noted, right? So this is what, it's a simple flow: reading data from cloud storage, applying transformation using PySpark, writing data into BigQuery. Okay, this is the demo which we are going to perform now. Okay, before going to the demo, and I will also try to explain the input data, right, on high level. First of all, we have to understand the input data, right? Then we can easily understand what are the different transformation we are going to apply on top of that data. Okay, let us go to the input data. Okay, this is a simple data. It's a this data is available in a CSV file. I have downloaded this file from internet. So this is a greenhouse gas emission related data. So they have we have different data points, right, like year, right, and also different industries from where this greenhouse gas emission is being calculated, right, and also variable, what are the different gas which is contributing to this greenhouse gas emission, right, and also units, because we have different units to measure this emission. So someone is measuring using kiloton, someone is measuring index, someone is using in terms of dollar, something like that. We have different units, okay, and also magnitude and also source. So this is basically what are the different organizations or different entities which have been reporting these values. This is the actual value of that emission, right? Some of them are in a unit, some of them are in a kiloton, some of them are in a ton, something like that. Here I don't want to make it too much complex. What I'll try to do is I'll try to read this CSV file or data into PySpark RDD. I'll try to group this data based on the year, okay, and also this particular industry. So we have a different column name for this, and also source, and also I'll try to sum up this value. This is a simple group by aggregation I would like to do. Okay, this is our input data. It has almost 5,000 rows, okay, in it. So then we'll try to do that series of transformation using our PySpark functionality. Okay, let us move to the presentation. Okay, so this is, I think this flow is now clear. Okay, now let us quickly move to the demo. So right now I'm into my Google Cloud Console, right? My Cloud Shell is open, right? Now I would like to create cluster using CLI commands. Let us go to that code and we'll try to understand what is that. Okay, see, this is the standard syntax or process to create Dataproc cluster using our gcloud SDK, right? So this is the one, gcloud will use Dataproc is a keyword, cluster keyword, create keyword, and then Dataproc demo. This is the cluster name which we are going to create. So here I have an option to choose Google Cloud Storage bucket to stage my files. So the files can be anything, user files, or it can be a Dataproc cluster internal files. Whenever we're trying to run some jobs and on top of Dataproc cluster, it will show some internal files, right? So there we have to specify some Google Cloud Storage bucket. Okay, in which region I'm going to create this cluster, and also zone, and here where I'm mentioning my master node configuration, right? So I'm using N1 standard 2 and the disk size, worker how many workers I need, and worker node types N1 standard 2 and the disk size, and image version. Usually it uses Linux operating system images. So this is a 2.0 Debian 10. This is image version, and this is also very important. Scope means, for example, when I create my cluster, I can just go for the option to it can interact with any other Google Cloud services available in the GCP. That's where I'm doing. It can interact with any other services, right? This is where I'm mentioning scope as a Google Cloud platform. Okay, the project. This is the important step, because by default we don't have BigQuery is installed into Dataproc cluster. You have to explicitly do that. So this particular bucket is already available, provisioned by Google Cloud Platform, from where you are reading that script. It's a shell script from where you are trying to install BigQuery connector, the version, okay, and also Spark BigQuery connector. This is the version of the BigQuery connector. This is the actual Spark BigQuery connector, right? You have to mention this. This is as per the standard process guidelines given by Google Cloud Platform. Okay. Now let us try to understand our code also, because as I already told, we are now separating our storage and compute. So now our compute is going to be performed on Dataproc cluster. You are storing your input data and also your staging file and also your code into our Google Cloud Storage bucket. Okay. So I will show you whenever we are into that demo. I will try to show you that hidden bucket. So this is what our PySpark job is doing, right? The initial step is importing your required modules, and you are opening up a Spark session, and then you will have to mention the bucket name where you are trying to stage your input data and also code. Okay, this is our bucket which is already available, and also you have to configure that bucket somehow to be known by the Spark session. So here this is the step where I'm trying to read this greenhouse emission related data, CSV file data, into my RDD. Okay, and then I'm trying to basically select required columns. We have so many columns available over there in that file. I don't want all such columns to be written into BigQuery, right? I need only specific columns like year, right, and industry, right, the variable and the source. This data value is by default available as a string format. You have to cast it to double or float. Okay, so that is what I'm doing, right? Parallelly I'm reading required column into some other RDD, and also I'm trying to convert that string value into a double, right? And then I'm performing the aggregation here. I'm performing group by a set of columns, that is year, the industry, right, and also source. Okay, let us go to the right. This is the industry. This is the source, right? So and then summing up this data value and also group by year. Okay, so that's what I'm doing, and then finally I'm writing the data into a BigQuery table, right? So here if you just observe, right, so this data set is already available in my BigQuery project. So here if that, I'm also mentioning the table name aggregated output. If this table is already available, it's okay. If it is not available, I'm asking this process to create the table and then write the data into BigQuery. Okay, this is a simple PySpark script which is performing this series of steps. Now go to the Google Cloud Console. Okay, right, first step, create cluster. enter. Now it will create our cluster, and also it will try to install BigQuery connector on Dataproc cluster. Okay, it will take some time. It will take 2 to 3 minutes. Right. Once the cluster is available, then we'll proceed with the next demo steps or tasks. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Now our Dataproc cluster has been created. Now we will try to go to our Google Cloud console and let us try to see if it is available, right? Uh, Let me go to the Dataproc cluster, Dataproc console, right? So you can see our cluster is created, Dataproc demo, right? So the next thing we'll have to see is we'll also examine our Google Cloud Storage bucket where we are trying to stage our input data and also code, right? Click on this. Okay, you can see this is our code, same code which we have here. Okay, and this is where we are going to stage our input data. We have even our input data placed over here, right? So now we'll have to examine our default compute engine service account, right? So for that you will have to go to the IAM window, because as I already told, Dataproc by default it uses default service compute engine service account uh, to interact, to communicate with other GCP services like GCS or BigQuery or any other service. Now you can see this is our default compute engine service account. Okay, if you see compute engine default service account, it has the editor role. Okay, already it has been given with the editor role, right? You don't have to do anything, right, in this scenario. If it doesn't have this, then we'll have to create this and then we'll have to access editor role to this service account. Now we are good to go. Okay, now let's move to the next step where we'll try to submit our PySpark job using console. Here it is. What you have to do, this is a cluster main page. Okay, click on the cluster name, hyperlink. It will take you to this page where you have in details about cluster like jobs. Okay, this is where you are going to monitor our job which have been submitted through submit job option. VM instances, we have 3 VM instances, one is master, 2 nodes. Okay, and configuration, web interfaces, all those, but now we are interested in submitting job through this option, submit job. This will open up a new window. So which job type you are going to submit? We have different options available: Hadoop, Spark or PySpark, Hive, Spark SQL, Pig. So I am interested in PySpark. Okay, main Python file. So this is already available in a GCS bucket. I'll have to specify that path where that file is available. Okay, you see it is available over here. Copy, come over here quickly, paste. Right, now this is the entire qualifier path for that file. Okay, now I don't have any jar file because I am using Python over here. I don't have to specify anything. So all these are optional arguments. If you are trying to submit Java, Spark job, so you'll have to specify jar file and all those stuff. Okay, but here this is more than enough. Okay, right, so let me submit. Now you can see the log, the job is running, right? Quickly go to the your BigQuery, right, where it should create that table. Okay, this is the dataset demo. Now we don't have any dataset. Once that job runs successfully, okay, over here, then it will create the table, resultant table, right? It is taking time. Okay. You can monitor this job till it completion. Okay, still it is running. Okay, now it stopped. That means done loading to GCP. This one, it's clearly saying that, right? Now go to the BigQuery window, just refresh it. Right now we should have that table already created. You can see this table is created as per our option given in the code. Now preview it. Okay, you can see there are 2772 rows. This is aggregated data. This is how you can create cluster using CLI commands, right? This one, and you can use that cluster to run PySpark, Hadoop, right, or Spark SQL jobs. Okay, this is one option. Okay, in our next video we'll try to demo, right, how to automate our Dataproc cluster, right? We'll try to automate cluster creation and job submission and also cluster deletion. I will try to explain in detail whenever we are going to perform that demo. Okay, thank you very much. We'll meet in the next video.